Grandma Mary, the highly esteemed chairwoman of the Johnson family empire, had been away for a full 3 months. During that time, she had spent countless hours reflecting on the future of her grandson, Tom Johnson, the one destined to take over as the head of their prestigious law firm. Tom was well known for his sharp intelligence and effortless charm, but what truly set him apart was the air of mystery surrounding him. He rarely appeared in public, and only a select few had ever seen his face. Even within the company, his name carried a sense of intrigue. At the firm, anticipation was at an all-time high. The air buzzed with hushed voices, excited whispers, and barely contained giggles as employees speculated about Tom's much-awaited arrival. "I heard he's unbelievably handsome," murmured a junior lawyer, her voice filled with excitement. "And rich," added another, her eyes glimmering with admiration. "Can you imagine catching his attention? He's the most eligible bachelor in town." Despite all the enthusiasm, no one had the faintest clue that Tom would soon be among them, blending in under an unexpected disguise. Meanwhile, Grandma Mary had a plan of her own. Rather than making an extravagant entrance befitting her position, she chose a different path, one that would reveal the true nature of the people working under her. She decided to go undercover, disguising herself as a simple cleaning lady. It wasn't just curiosity that drove her, she had a deeper mission in mind. She wanted to find the perfect wife for Tom, a woman who would love him for the man he was, not the fortune and power he possessed. Dressed in plain, worn-out clothes and wearing an old, battered watch that looked like a cheap imitation, Grandma Mary stepped into the firm. Most people paid her no mind, treating her like she was invisible. But a group of female employees, gathered near the coffee station, immediately took notice. "Who even let her in?" one sneered, her expression dripping with disdain. "Look at that ridiculous watch," another scoffed, rolling her eyes. "She's probably trying to act like she belongs in high society." Laughter rippled through the group as they exchanged smug glances, making no effort to keep their cruel remarks quiet. At first, Grandma Mary simply observed them with sharp, discerning eyes. She had seen people like this before, the type who judged others based on appearances alone. But then, one of the women stepped closer, her eyes glinting with arrogance. "Do you really think you can pretend to be one of us?" she taunted. Grandma Mary remained calm, her voice steady as she responded, "It's just a watch, dear. Why does it matter to you?" But her composed reply only fueled their mockery. One of the women, irritated by Grandma Mary's lack of reaction, shoved her lightly. Though it wasn't a hard push, it was enough to make the elderly woman stumble slightly. Before the situation could escalate any further, a firm, commanding voice sliced through the tension. "Enough." The room fell silent as a young woman with striking features and an air of quiet confidence stepped forward. Amelia, one of the firm's most talented lawyers, crossed her arms and gave the group a piercing look. "What exactly do you think you're doing?" she demanded, her voice laced with quiet authority. "She's just here doing her job. Don't you have better things to do than bully someone?" The group exchanged awkward glances, their arrogance wavering. But one of them, unwilling to back down completely, smirked at Amelia. "Look who's talking," she said, her voice dripping with mockery. "Aren't you the one who got dumped for being too nosy? No wonder you're still single." For a brief moment, Amelia's jaw tightened, but she quickly regained her composure. "I wasn't dumped," she replied coolly, her gaze unwavering. "I left him because I don't tolerate liars or cheaters. It's called self-respect. You should try it sometime." Her words hit their mark. The women grumbled among themselves, clearly irritated but unwilling to push further. One by one, they turned and walked away, leaving Amelia and Grandma Mary standing in the now quiet hallway. Turning to the older woman, Amelia's expression softened. "Are you okay?" she asked gently. Grandma Mary gave a small, appreciative smile. "I'm perfectly fine, dear. Thank you." "It's nothing," Amelia replied with a shrug. "But if anyone bothers you again, just let me know." As Amelia walked away, Grandma Mary watched her closely, her lips curling into a knowing smile. "She's got a good heart," she murmured to herself. "This one is special." Later that day, Grandma Mary approached Amelia, finding her immersed in paperwork at her desk. Clearing her throat softly, she spoke. "Excuse me, dear. Do you have a moment?" Looking up, Amelia smiled warmly, recognizing her. "Of course, ma'am. How can I help you?" Grandma Mary settled into the chair across from her, her keen eyes twinkling with curiosity. "I overheard your colleagues earlier," she began. "It seems you're single. Would you be interested in marrying my grandson?" Amelia blinked, momentarily stunned before letting out a small laugh. "That's a kind offer, but I'm not looking for love right now," she said lightly. "I've had my fair share of heartbreak, and I'd rather focus on my career." Grandma Mary tilted her head. "Heartbreak? You're much too young to have gone through so much pain." Sighing, Amelia hesitated before responding. "A lot of men have let me down. My last boyfriend, who also worked here, cheated on me. And not just anywhere, right here in the office. I caught him red-handed." Grandma Mary's expression darkened. "You were right to walk away. But I can promise you, my grandson is nothing like that. He lost both his parents in a tragic accident when he was young. I raised him myself, and he's grown into a man of integrity. He would never betray someone like that." Amelia smiled softly, touched by the older woman's sincerity. "That's sweet of you to say," she said playfully. "I'll think about it." Just then, the office door opened, and a young man stepped inside. Amelia's gaze instinctively shifted toward him. He was undeniably handsome. Sharp cheekbones, kind yet intelligent eyes, and a quiet confidence in the way he carried himself. "Grandma," he said warmly, approaching them. Grandma Mary's face lit up. "Tommy, there you are. Come here, dear." Amelia's breath caught in her throat. Wait, this was the grandson she had just been asked to consider? "This is Tommy." Grandma Mary introduced him proudly. "He's a new intern here at the firm." Tommy smiled and extended his hand. "Hi, I'm Tommy. It's nice to meet you." Amelia hesitated for just a second before shaking his hand, feeling an unexpected warmth spread through her. "I'm Amelia. Welcome to the firm." Tommy's smile widened. "Thanks. I've heard this is a great place to learn. I'm excited to get started." As Amelia returned to her work, she couldn't help but steal glances at Tommy. How could someone so down-to-earth and humble be the grandson of the formidable Grandma Mary? Meanwhile, Grandma Mary watched their interaction with satisfaction. Her plan was already in motion. Mark's smirk vanished in an instant. "What?" he scoffed, but there was a flicker of panic in his eyes. The HR manager, a stern woman named Miss Caldwell, crossed her arms. "You heard me, Mark. Your behavior has been inappropriate for a long time, and this was the last straw. Pack your things and leave immediately." Security stepped forward, and Mark's face turned red with humiliation. He shot a glare at Amelia. "This is your fault," he hissed before storming out. The room was silent. Then Lucy scoffed, flipping her hair. "Well, that was dramatic." She turned back to Tommy. "But as for you, you're still a nobody pretending to be someone important." Before Tommy could respond, a deep, authoritative voice echoed through the office. "Is that so?" Every head turned. A tall man in a crisp suit stood at the entrance. His presence commanded respect, and his piercing blue eyes scanned the room with quiet intensity. The real Tom Johnson. Lucy's confidence faltered. "And Mr. Johnson," she stammered. Tom Johnson walked forward, his gaze landing on Tommy. For a moment, there was silence. Then, to everyone's shock, he smiled. "It's been a while, cousin." Gasps rippled through the room. Amelia's heart pounded as she looked at Tommy. "No, Tom." "Cousin," she echoed in disbelief. Tom nodded. "I wasn't lying," he said softly, looking at her with pleading eyes. "I am a Johnson. I just wanted to prove myself before stepping into the role officially." Lucy, pale as a ghost, took a step back. I didn't know." Tom Johnson turned his gaze to her, cold and unimpressed. "No, you didn't. But you did make it very clear what kind of person you are." Lucy opened her mouth, but no words came out. Tom glanced at the HR manager. "Ms. Caldwell, I expect a full review of workplace conduct. Any toxic behavior will not be tolerated under my leadership." Ms. Caldwell nodded. Understood, Mr. Johnson. Tom turned back to Amelia, his expression softer now. I never wanted to deceive you, he said. I just needed you to see me, not my name, not my wealth. Just me. Amelia's emotions swirled in a storm of shock, hurt, and something else, relief. Because deep down she already knew. And despite the lies, despite everything, her heart still trusted him. Should she forgive him? Or make him work for it? Grandma Mary beamed, her frail condition miraculously improving as she clapped her hands together. Oh, this is wonderful, she exclaimed, her voice suddenly much stronger. Tommy narrowed his eyes. Grandma, were you faking being sick just to get us together? Grandma Mary gasped dramatically, placing a hand on her chest. Faking? How could you accuse your poor, elderly grandmother of such a thing? Then she winked. Amelia covered her mouth to hide her laugh. You really are something else, Grandma Mary. Well, someone had to speed things along, Grandma Mary said unapologetically. Now, let's start planning this wedding. Tommy and Amelia exchanged glances, amusement and affection shining in their eyes. This was crazy. This was unexpected. But it also felt right. Lucy, however, was about to have the shock of her life. The next morning at the office, Tommy finally decided to put an end to the charade. Standing in front of the entire team, he straightened his posture, exuding quiet authority. I have something to announce, he began. The man you all met yesterday, James, is not the real Tom Johnson. Gasps filled the room. Lucy, who had spent the entire day trying to impress James, stiffened. What do you mean? Tom took a deep breath. Because I am Tom Johnson. Silence. Then, a coffee cup hit the floor as one of the junior associates dropped it in shock. Lucy turned white. No. No way. This is a joke. Tom pulled out his ID and placed it on the table. The firm's official logo gleamed at the top, and underneath, in bold letters, was his full name. Thomas Alexander Johnson, CEO and Senior Advocate. Lucy stumbled back. Me, Tom confirmed, crossing his arms. The intern you mocked. The nobody you dismissed. The same man you sucked up to yesterday thinking he was me. The office was dead silent as realization sank in. Grandma Mary, standing nearby with a knowing smile, leaned toward Lucy and whispered, Karma is a lovely thing, dear, don't you think? Lucy turned and ran out of the room mortified. Tom glanced at Amelia, watching for her reaction. But instead of shock, he saw understanding in her eyes. You knew, didn't you? He asked softly. She smiled. I suspected. But I wanted you to tell me in your own time. His heart swelled. Amelia had always seen him. Not his name, not his wealth. Do you still want to marry me? He teased. Now that you know I am rich? Amelia chuckled. I was marrying you before I knew. So, yes, Mr. Johnson. I do. And with that, the office erupted into cheers, except for Lucy, who was long gone.